What is going on, Brooklyn Net fans? Hello, everyone, and welcome back into another edition of the Brooklyn Boys Show right here on this Saturday morning, July 12th, 2025. Appreciate you all tuning in. Make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe on your way into the building. It's completely free, and it helps us grow significantly here on the show. Throw all your questions, comments, thoughts in the chat for us. We will get to those shortly. Appreciate all of your support. As always, shout out to all those Nets fans and NBA fans out there tuning in right here on the Brooklyn Boys Show. And if it's your first time tuning in, we have a wonderful guest for you. He's becoming a regular here on the show. The great Bob Windrem of Nets Daily joins on the program. Bob, happy Saturday, and how you been? Oh, I think you might be muted. Do we have you there, Bob? Bob, try heading out of StreamYard, then rejoining. Maybe that's what happened. You glitched out there. Bob, do we try here? Try unmuting the mic. It looks like you're muted from what I see on my screen. Can you hear us? We still can't hear you. So your mic's up from what I see in the settings. It looks like you're muted. Try heading out of StreamYard and then rejoining. Try backing out of StreamYard and then rejoining the studio. You got us? Can you guys? I can't hear Bob. And I don't think Bob can hear us. Can you guys hear him in the chat? Let me know. Try backing out of the app and then rejoining. Here, let's see. We'll remove him here on the screen. I'll throw it. Yeah, you guys can't hear him, so same with me. I'll put it in the private chat. Try backing out and rejoining. All right, so sorry for the technical difficulties there. Appreciate you all tuning in. Bob Windrem of Nets Daily will be joining us here on this episode. It looks like he's dealing with some technical difficulties right now, so we'll see if he's able to figure that out right here on the show. I know you guys can't hear him. In the meantime, while Bob gets his issues fixed, let's say what's up to everyone. Awesome LA, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Nets fans, Pete, shout out to Pete. Follow Pete, he does great work. Pete, thank you for tuning in. Down Under Dunker, what up, Connor and Pete? Down Under Dunker. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your support on the show. Nets fan, can't hear Bob. Yeah, some technical difficulties there going under. People Hernandez, come on down. Appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, Bob's been on the show before, Pete. I see him backstage still. Let's try see if this works again. Bob, you got us. Can you hear us, Bob? Okay. I think he's backing out of the app. We'll retry soon. In the meantime, while we're supposed to be joined by Bob Windrem of Nets Daily, he just left StreamYard. Hopefully he rejoins and it's fixed. In the meantime, if you got any thoughts on Summer League, if you got any thoughts on the Brooklyn Nets, you could throw those in the chat. We could do a little Q&A to start off today's show as the mic issues are being resolved by our good friend Bob Windrem of Nets Daily, who is joining us right here on this Saturday morning. What are you guys' thoughts on the first Summer League game? Those who didn't catch our post-game show, I kind of shared my thoughts to sum them up overall. What I want to see tomorrow, I want to see less of Tosani Woma. This is a guy who committed 5 personal fouls, had 6 turnovers, had okay shooting splits, but it was primarily because he shot the ball so much. I mean, a guy I'm looking at, again, is Yegor Doyman. See how he's able to kind of fit into this offense. I thought the 2 3-balls that he chucked up, beautiful form. It was 2 nice shots. I'm looking to see how he's kind of able to facilitate the ball from beyond the arc. And I really want to see him use his big body in the paint because this guy's 6'8". I think a lot of people forget that. That's something I'm certainly going to be looking for tomorrow. So those who are wondering, the Nets' next Summer League game tips off tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. But I think do we have you, Bob? Can you hear us?
You have.
There we go. How you doing? Sorry, you cut out there. We're chopping it up backstage. It was perfectly fine. And then we clicked go live, and I think the the internet bug hit you there. But Bob, happy Saturday. How you doing? And I appreciate you hopping on.
I'm fine. And happy Saturday to you.
I appreciate it. I'm super happy you are able to be here. You're becoming, a regular visitor of the Brooklyn Boys Show. We appreciate you sparing some time for us. We appreciate all of your support as always. And the main reason, I want to have you on today, I want you to kind of break down this, report that you dropped just a few days ago from what you heard from a league source regarding Cam Thomas based on your report, a league source told you that Cam Thomas getting over $10 million a year in a contract extension with Brooklyn this offseason would turn their offseason from amazing to shitty. So, Bob, kind of break down this report. What were your thoughts when you received this nugget? And do you think this primarily stems from it being a weaker free agency class, and that would be considered an overpay based on the weaker free agency class, teams not having as much cap space? Where does this stem from?
Well, I mean, there's a number of factors here. As Tim McMahon told you in one more recent podcasts, that he's very polarizing. Yes, he can score. Yes, he can get buckets, but can he contribute to winning? That has been the issue, since he was drafted. And he certainly made improvements. And by the way, this source was not somebody who's mopping the floors. This was a decision maker. And I think that one of the things that goes into this is what McMahon said. And the other thing that goes into and it may be extreme, $10 million is, that's extreme. But putting that aside, the polarization is due to a number of things. But beyond that is what you also noted, which is the market just isn't there. If there's only one team with cap space and it's Brooklyn, he's really in a bad negotiation position. He missed 25 games, or excuse me, he only played 25 games.
I think it was 22. Yeah, he barely played last season.
Barely played, put up good numbers when he played, but it's the second year in a row where he's had injuries issues, and that hurts him. And nobody has enough cap space to sign him, unless he's willing to take 10 million, which I'm sure he isn't. And then even if a team did extend him an offer, the Nets could match within 48 hours. And the Nets can match virtually anything. I mean, but more than that, there doesn't seem to be an inclination by any other team to tender him that offer. Maybe it's because they believe the Nets and he are going to ultimately reach a solution, as Tim McMahon told you, or it's a combination, as I noted, of polarization and a lack of money. But what I anticipated did not happen. What I anticipated was what happened with Claxton and with Johnson, which was they were signed even before anybody else had a chance to make an offer. And they were signed to generous contracts. But things have changed since then, obviously. And then there's also this hidden thing here, which I don't know. I don't know if this is quite as significant as it might seem on the surface. If I'm about to publish a story on the 3-point guards and are they playmakers, are they point guards? But the basis for that discussion is that the Nets are going not just for point guards, they are going for quick decision makers. Yes. The 0.5 second system where you get the ball and you either shoot it, drive, pass it, whatever, but you don't hold on to it. And that is not Cam's game, and that has made me wonder whether my optimism about this being somewhat simple is wrong. But on the other hand, there's something else which I think everybody should understand, which is in order to make maximum use of your cap space, you have to sequence signings.
Yes.
Some you sign with bird rights, other people you sign out of an exception, other people you sign out of your MLE. And you've seen that over the weekend with Dayron following Zaire in having their rights renounced.
Yes.
That's going to permit them as Yossi Goslin has told us and others, they now have the option of using the MLE on one of them, and the MLE is 8.8 million. According to reports, they're going to get 12 over 2, which I think comes out to like 5.8 million in the first year. So, they're working deals, and all of this concern may be for naught. And the Nets, as I said on the last time I visited you, are pretty pretty closed mouthed around this time.
Yes.
And I could wake up tomorrow and see that they had signed all three restricted or formerly restricted free agents in the case of Dayron and Zaire, and see that they had signed and not really be surprised. I mean, again, I don't know. And the fact that you have not seen anyone saying that he is unhappy or trying to drum up business, things that agents do in negotiations, that also suggests to me that things are not necessarily at loggerheads, but are just waiting out the business of basketball. And so we're gonna wind up seeing there. But I think that we're probably going to wind up seeing in the next couple of days. I would think. I'd be surprised. And the other thing out there, and this is too long of an answer, is they have enough cap space to do something else. I don't know.
They're still under the floor. Like if you give Cam Thomas a $10 million deal, I think, Bob, that they're gonna give Cam Thomas like a 1 year, $13-15 million. You don't think? Okay, what do you think Cam Thomas's extension looks like? Then
I think, as McMahon told you, thinks it's probably going to be a short termer.
1 year, 1 year, 10, 12, 15 million dollars.
I think he'd be crazy to accept 1 year.
But where else is he getting any? What else is he getting? That's the thing.
Years are important, particularly if you're a player who's had injuries. You want to have some security, and he knows that by now. After his last 2 years have been injury riddled, so I'm sure his agent is going to want him to get a multiple deal. Whether that's 2, 3, I don't know. But again, we don't know. I mean, as I said, people who cover the Nets wander around trying to find different ways to say I don't know, because I haven't seen a lot out there. I mean, if you go back to what Tim McMahon told you, which was, I suspect, I mean, even some of the best national reporters and some of the best local reporters are a bit flummoxed by what's going on.
Absolutely, and I just think this is such an interesting situation to monitor because when the Nets entered this offseason, I think a lot of people were in the boat of going all in on Cam Thomas, and as you kind of see this market unfold, the money that these other free agents are getting, the asking price among the fan base has kind of changed. Some people have even said they don't want Cam Thomas to come back. I mean, my question to you then, from just an overall analyst perspective, do you think the Nets would be better off without Cam Thomas this season?
Well, no, but we're basing that on, if you're basing it on better off, what does better off mean?
I mean, like, instead of, do you think the Nets would be, better off handing him, for example, a 1 year, 15 million, 1 year, $13-15 million deal, and having him play out the year, see what he does, and then hit restricted free agency and then hit unrestricted free agency, next offseason, or just, not bring him back at all and have him not play on this team this year? What do you think? Do you think the Nets should go down the route of extending him or just letting him walk if they don't, if he doesn't like their offer?
Yeah. The other question, Connor, is what do they really want out of this year? And what do they want out of the next 2 years, which is the rebuild schedule? And it may be that what they want is another team that's going to win a few games, fewer games. I like him. I've always liked him. I liked him from the time he won the Elam ending game in the summer league, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. I think he's a real talent. I think that he can score. And looking at that roster, there ain't a lot of people who can score other than him and Michael Porter Jr.
And Michael Porter Jr. is more of like a 15 points per game guy. You can get 15, 16 points per game, who can get you some rebounds. I think Cam Thomas is the only true scorer who can, get you over 20 a night and put the ball in the hoop no matter where he shoots it from.
I think Porter in a different system than when he played in Denver, which was catch and shoot. I think he's going to be capable of scoring more than 20. He scored 18. He scored 18-2 last year. I mean, he's the only reason his career average is 16 was because the injuries at the beginning of his season.
Yep.
Or the beginning of his career, excuse me. But yeah, I think he can do that. I mean, look, we may be surprised. There's all sorts of variables here. And it's not just with the rookies, and it's not just with is Nick Claxton going to be healthy? Is Cam Thomas going to be back? Is he going to be happy? Will we see a breakout from Whitehead or Clowney? There's all sorts of variables here. Last year there were fewer variables because you knew at least of the three. At least two of the three veterans were going to be gone. And both were gone within 2 weeks after.
And they played like Dennis Schroeder, for example, played a pretty significant role in getting a bunch of those wins earlier in the season. And you could say, Michael Porter Jr. pretty much effectively replaces Cam Johnson's role and then some from like a rebounding and passing facet this season. But there were a lot of veterans who, helped this team string together a couple of wins earlier in the season. I also think last year you can make the case that they trusted more guys kind of off the bench. I mean, last year the team had a deeper bench that they were able to trust, a handful of guys like Keon Johnson, who personally I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the fact that the Nets picked up his team option, but Jordi Fernandez really seems to be, enamored with Keon Johnson, his style of play. He seems to trust Keon Johnson on the floor as a leader, and I think that really speaks volume to what Jordy's trying to build here. You mentioned Michael Porter Jr. there, Bob. That's kind of what I want to get into next. He has 2 years left on his current contract. Pretty significant cap hits over the next 2 years. How do the Nets view Michael Porter Jr.? Do you think they view him as a long-term piece, or this is kind of just 2 years and then he's out of Brooklyn? Oh, did the Wi-Fi bug get you again, Bob? There,
yeah.
You got it? All right, perfect. There we go.
To hang up on a call.
Did you hear my question?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think that he's 27. He's been very reliable. He's only missed 6 games in the last 2 years compared to 43 by Cam Johnson. And he's going to have a larger role. And if he has a larger role and can score more points, then maybe he'll be more valuable next year as a trade asset. On the other hand, maybe he becomes a piece. Again, if you look at the rebuild, it's somewhat analogous to what Marks did his first time. And if you look at it that way, you've got 2 years left. And he becomes an expiring becomes an expiring next year, and his contract is up roughly at the end of the time that they have budgeted for the rebuild to lead to contention. So there are options there. I really don't have a clue how they're going to use him. I mean, the value of taking him on for Cam was the first round pick, which is going to be a valuable pick. Not in 2032. I think it'll be long gone before 2032. I think that pick will be traded, probably next year. If you're looking to take on a big contract, then both that pick and his numbers on the salary cap are ideal for a trade. Again, if he has a great season. I think they can go in a number of ways, and that's what they will tell you about virtually everything. That they can go in a number of ways. And it's fascinating to me that all of us thought that there was no chance that they were going to make 4 or 5 first-round picks. No chance. But if you went back and you listened to the Scout docuseries, it was being discussed a year ago. I mean, you had B.J. Johnson saying, we're coming into this. We have picks, at that point, from the lottery into the top of the second round. And we're in every possible spot in the top 40. And you go back and you listen to that and you listen to other things. I think that this was a plan, that they looked at this draft, particularly after the lottery. They looked at this draft and said, it's a deep draft. We have a lot of picks. Why don't we just use them? And we're deep in a rebuild. But again, it just goes, my point there being, you just don't know. And that's my latest I don't know answer.
Yeah, you mentioned all those draft picks there. I mean, the Nets have so many first round picks, so many lottery picks over the next few years, and they even have a bunch of second round picks over the next 5 years. Which you put those in a package, those also give you some value. What is the Nets? I've been meaning to ask this question to a bunch of people. What is the Nets' kind of long-term plan with all these picks? Because you can't really make all these selections over the next, 7 years. Like, is the goal to maybe build a team with your young core over the next 2-3 years where, we got you, Bob? What I was saying, well, hopefully Bob is able to get back here soon. I think last time he said this happened, he said he was declining a call. So maybe it's the same case again. But kind of what I was asking Bob, and what I want to get your thoughts on is, what do you think the thought process is with a bunch of these picks? Because you can't select 31 players over the next 7 years. You physically can't. You can't build a roster like that. So is the goal to, build your young core over the next few years, and then you choose in 3-4 years to go, we got you there, Bob?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. What I was saying is kind of, what's this thought process overall with all these picks? You can't make 31 selections over 7 years. Is it to, build a young core and then consider going all in on a superstar to then, contend and try to win a championship? What's the thought process here? Do you see them trading for a superstar 2-3 years down the line?
Well, either trading for one, or if they're lucky, signing one in free agency. Yeah, I think that, they understand that the only way you're going to win is with a superstar. You can talk all you want about, how well constructed through the draft both Indiana and Oklahoma City were, but in both cases, they're anchored by a star. And I think that's, and it's New York. I mean, it's New York, and, New York is driven by stars. And I think that's, a factor as well. Their business strategies sometimes will help you figure out, the basketball strategy. And I think you're starting to see with what they're doing that, they're pushing the young players. They're pushing Demon in particular. And I think that, on the marketing side, and I think that, long term they want flexibility, but long term they understand star quality is important.
Absolutely. I just kind of want to transition to the first Summer League game of the year, which took place just on Thursday. The Nets suffered a 90-81 loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. There were a lot of negatives in that game that you could take away from overall player performance, but there were certainly a handful of positives. I mean, someone who certainly, outperformed all numbers was Drew Timme, a guy who scored 22 points, 9 rebounds, almost had a double-double. When you look at the power forwards, though, and centers on this roster, you have Noah Clowney, you have Danny Wolf, you have Nick Claxton, you have Day'Ron Sharpe, and then Timme is kind of that, fifth guy on the outside looking in as it stands. The Nets picked up his team option this offseason. Bob, does Drew Timme really have a chance at, making a push for this roster?
I do not think that all 4 of the players whose options the Nets picked up will be the roster October 21st. I don't know which ones. I think Timme is in a very good position after what he did the other day. You can't deny that. He averaged 10 points a game for the Nets at the end of last season. Had a double-double in his first NBA game. I think that what the Nets hope is that Danny Wolf will be Drew Timme on steroids. Somebody who can pass, shoot, and have a high basketball IQ. I don't know how much time he could get on the Nets, though. It may be to his advantage to ask out and go try to find something else, because, as you point out, and particularly with Michael Porter Jr. as well entering the picture.
Is that another power forward too?
Yeah.
There, yeah.
So you can say he's a point center, but the Nets will tell you, and people can ignore it, but the Nets will tell you what their plan is, which is, they want quick thinking over quick twitch athleticism. If you look at each one of their picks, or maybe not each one of their picks, they could have gone in a different direction, but they went with somebody who they see, whether he's designated a point guard, point center, whatever, or the best athlete in the draft. They went with somebody who they think can fit that fast pace, quick decision making, Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder model. So I don't know if there's a place for him based on his history, but there may be a place for him based on his skill set. He could see a lot of time. And first of all, there's one more 3-way that's open, or 2-way, excuse me.
Yeah.
There's one more 2-way that's open. So he can fit there if he wants, if he's willing to do it. Or, he could be the last guy in the bench. But I think that of the 4, he's got the best shot.
Over Keon.
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Interesting.
I like Keon, but I also think his skills are kind of replicated.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, and but I think, who knows? Again, I mean, Jalen Wilson led the Nets last year in minutes played.
I mean, this is the problem when you draft 5 first-round picks, and then you pick up team options on 4 guys who are still very, very, very young. And I think another name a lot of people forget about is Dariq Whitehead, who in essence is kind of going to be treated like a rookie. He, played some valuable minutes for Brooklyn last season, but ultimately asked to stay down in Long Island for the majority of the year. So definitely a lot of moving pieces in Brooklyn between the 5 rookies coming in, the 4 guys you picked up the team options on, one of them who you drafted just a few years ago in Jalen Wilson. It's certainly going to be interesting to watch everything unfold here this season. But Bob, again, I can't thank you enough for sparing some time and joining us right here on the show, guys. Keep stay tuned in. I'm going to stay on here a little longer, get to your questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. But Bob, nevertheless, appreciate your support. Appreciate you sparing some time. Got any final thoughts to share with everyone? Nets related, non-Nets related? What do you got?
I think you do a very good job.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate it. You do such a great job as well. I mean, you've covered the Nets for over 20 years. I mean, make sure to follow Bob on Twitter if you want just nonstop Nets coverage. Incredible, tweets. Bob, jarring at some Nets fans, although they come at him first. I'm looking at you, Pod Thorn. Make sure to follow Bob. He does such incredible work. I mean, Bob and everyone at Nets Daily. We've had a bunch of the Nets Daily writers on. We've had Colin Helwig, who joined us earlier this week. We had Lucas Kaplan on just 2 weeks ago, and then Bob now becoming the frequent visitor here on the show. So appreciate you as always, Bob. Have a great Saturday.
Sure thing. Bye-bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bob Windrem of Nets Daily gracing us with his presence here on the show. Great guy, great work, great job covering the Nets for over 20 years. I think this is Bob's 21st season. He was telling me covering the Nets. So yeah, Bob certainly does great work. I know he's such a big name in this community. So shoot him a follow if you haven't already. He does such great work and such great coverage. Covering the team, carrying the team. You know, no one's carrying this Brooklyn Nets team based on what we've seen over the past few years. But appreciate you all tuning in. Smash that like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and it helps us grow significantly here on the channel. Stay tuned. We're gonna get to your questions. We're gonna get to your thoughts, but before we do so, we're going to take a quick break. And yes, we do now have a sponsor on the Brooklyn Boys Show. So quick break, a word from our sponsor, and we will be back. Connor Long right here with you on a Saturday morning on the Brooklyn Boys Show. Stay tuned.
You are listening to the Brooklyn Boys Show with your host, Connor Long. If you're enjoying the show, drop us a sub and leave a like. It helps more Nets fans find us. Quick break, then back to talking Brooklyn Nets basketball.
Today's episode of the Brooklyn Boys Show is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Shoreline Sports Cards, located at 137 Main Street in Port Washington, New York. Whether you're chasing the newest hobby boxes, grabbing singles, or just want to talk cards with fellow collectors, Shoreline is the spot. They've got a massive selection across basketball, football, baseball, and more, with new inventory hitting the shelves every single week. If you're local, make sure to stop by the shop at 137 Main Street in Port Washington and check it out for yourself. If you're not in the area, no worries at all. You can still keep up with Shoreline by following them on Instagram, eBay, and whatnot for product drops, live breaks, deals, and hobby updates. All links are right in the description down below. Huge thanks to Shoreline Sports Cards for supporting the show and the Brooklyn Nets community. Back from the break, Connor Long right here with you guys on the Brooklyn Boys Show. Shout out to Shoreline Sports Cards for supporting the show. The new sponsors right here on the Brooklyn Boys Show. Even if you're not a card collector, even if if you are a card collector, follow them on Whatnot, 1000%. They do such great work. There are all the links in the description down below. If you're in the Long Island, Port Washington area, stop by their store. Just shoot them a follow on Instagram. Shoot them a follow at Whatnot, because supporting them is supporting us, and we appreciate all of your support here. So shoot them a follow on Whatnot, Instagram, all the links in the description down below. It supports us. It supports us at the Brooklyn Boys Show. Supporting Shoreline is supporting us. So make sure to shoot them a follow on social media. Links in the description down below. Appreciate all of you guys. As always, let's get in the chat. Ryan Henderson, appreciate you tuning in. I think we said what's up to a bunch of people. Tuning in. People Hernandez, yo, Connor, I hope you're a real Nets fanatic. Anytime anybody who's on my beloved Nets side, you are good in my book. I'm a very big Nets fan. You know, people, I make my takes about it. I'm very optimistic compared to the fan base entering this season. I mean, even during the games, I'm a maniac during the games. It could be, the first game of the regular season. It could be the 82nd game of the regular season. It doesn't matter the implications. I'm still a maniac during every single game. I mean, watching basketball is just absolutely incredible. I love watching the game of basketball, just the fast-paced nature, the competitiveness. I hate that the defense is starting to go away a little bit, but I love, a good scrappy defender. I loved, Patty Mills when he was on the Brooklyn Nets, just because he was such a scrappy player. He could shoot the rock. I mean, I just love the overall sport, the competitive nature, and everything that comes with basketball. And certainly I'm a diehard Nets fan right here. Down Under Dunker, I'm just keen to get myself a Nolan T jersey and watching him grow. Look, he certainly showed promising signs on Thursday, especially given the fact that he was playing on a rolled ankle. That was, very, very interesting to see. He had a great game, had 13 points. I mean, he started the game off, the Nets' first points of the game with, driving and then going up and under, laying it in for two, had a beautiful three in the corner. Shooting the ball nicely, was the only guy on Brooklyn with a plus rating. So yeah, Nolan T had a great game Thursday. And again, we'll look to see what he can do the rest of the summer league, because Nets still have 3 summer league games left. And then the most recent one tips off tomorrow at 8 p.m. EST. So stay tuned for that. Lou, Nets didn't look too bad considering OKC had played in one game in the other summer league. That's fair. Also, just from like a personal standpoint, I don't really look at the scores. I don't really look at the outcomes of the games. Like the Nets could go 0-4 in the summer league. I couldn't care if it meant the rookies were, still playing well. That's what I'm caring about is like watching the rookies develop, watching Yegor's shot develop over the summer league, watching Nolan, being able to play make and facilitate the ball. That's what I'm looking for. And, you want to see someone I want to see more of tomorrow is Tyson Etienne. I know he's already on a two-way spot with Brooklyn, but he shot the three ball very, very nicely. He was stout defensively, and he came off the bench. So I want to give Tyson Etienne a start tomorrow, Steve Hetzel. That's what I want to see. Nets fans, Pete, shout out to Pete. Need to see more from Demon. Seemed invisible. I don't mind him missing shots, but he didn't get open much even. But it's one game. Summer League doesn't mean much. I want to see him with the ball more. I mean, look, I said yesterday, I want to see Demon, use his 6'8" frame to get down low and make plays in the paint, in the post. That's what I want to see from Demon, while also seeing that three ball, that three ball develop. Look, Yegor Demon, I think it was his first game in a Nets jersey. A lot of the rookies, except Traore, didn't look all that great. I mean, Saraf had a nice spin move, but other than that, he struggled mightily. I mean, Danny Wolf, in my opinion, was a mess. Was a stiff defensively, for lack of a better term. Struggled offensively. 5 turnovers. Wolf didn't look great, and then Demon wasn't a complete liability. Demon wasn't a liability in the sense that I felt Wolf was on Thursday. But you certainly want to see him get involved in mine. Jalen Wilson was the Summer League MVP. You make a good point. Jalen Wilson was Summer League MVP last year. He might not even be in Brooklyn this season. So Summer League performance means very little, but you still want to see your guys thrive. I get what you're saying there. 1000%. Let's see where we are in the chat. Jonathan, if Sean Marks signs Cam to a 1-year deal and trade him for a protected first, that has no value. That's horrible business on Sean Marks' part. I think if you sign Cam Thomas on a 1-year deal, you try to keep him. You see if he can average 25 and stay healthy by the deadline, and then you flip him. There's no point in signing him to a 1-year deal and then just not trading him at all this season. That's the way I look at it. I think you want to hold, if you sign him to a 1-year deal, you want to hold him until the deadline, see what he does, and then deal him. But I think Bob made a good point. For those who are just seeing fast forward, after the show ends to the first 30 minutes, we were joined by Bob Windrem, Nets insider for Nets Daily. He made a good point. He doesn't think Cam's camp would accept a 1-year deal, just, given the security that he needs, given the fact that he's coming off of 2 injury-riddled campaigns. So certainly keep an eye on that. I think it's a 1 or 2 year deal, though, for Cam Thomas. I don't think it's anything, 3, 4, 5 years. I think that's what it's going to look like. All right, where are we in the chat? Let's see. Gilad, would you think if it's better for Cam to go to Milwaukee? I don't think the Nets are just going to sign and trade him right out of the gate. I don't think Milwaukee is enough cap. Milwaukee's, I think, at the second apron right now. A lot of the teams that are suitors for Cam Thomas are already at the second apron, and they're hard capped right there. So I don't even think Milwaukee can orchestrate a deal really for Cam Thomas. Let's see. Are the Milwaukee Bucks at the second? I believe they're hard capped at the second apron right now. What was I going to say? Yeah, I think they're at the second apron right now, so they can't orchestrate a deal for Cam Thomas. So yeah, count that out of the picture. I don't think they're doing a sign and trade right away. The situation I see them trading him is if they do a quick 1-year deal and they build up his value at the deadline, hope he stays healthy, and then deal him. Okay, where are we? Appreciate you tuning in. Keep the questions coming. We'll be able to get to those. Lucis, with the way team is built, MPJ should be able to catch and shoot. What you want to see out of MPJ is, this is someone who shot the 3 ball nearly 40% last year. This is a guy who was able to play make, had 8 rebounds, was averaging 8 rebounds a game. 7 rebounds a game. I really, really like MPJ. I think he's going to be a great catch and shoot option. I just think he's going to be a very lethal option from beyond the arc. I expect him to take a bunch of his minutes as a power forward too. So look out for him down low in the paint, to use his 6'10" frame to be able to push the ball down low in the post. So MPJ is certainly going to be an exciting player to watch this season. Absolutely. We got our Nuggets fan Ranger, since I've watched every single game of MPJ since college, is going to average 25.8 points per game or more. Luce's MPJ played on a shoulder injury a lot because that team was expected to compete for a chip. I wonder if he plays through it for the Nets, who are competing for a top pick. I do think he will, because I think Jordy Fernandez still wants this team to be competitive. I think he still wants them to compete. I don't think he's, Jordy Fernandez doesn't want to tank. I'll tell you that right now. Jordy Fernandez does not like tanking. Jordy Fernandez does not like losing. MPJ was still able to play 77 games last year and averaged 16-7 despite that shoulder injury. I think he still plays through that injury for Brooklyn if push comes to shove this year. Down under Dunker, my guess, John, is Marks is going to finish He's going for one big fish soon to play with MPJ and the rookies. My guess is Giannis or still Jokic. That's your young star. I think they wait until they kind of have a young core established, until they're ready to contend, because what is adding Giannis Antetokounmpo or Nikola Jokic do to this team right now? Not much, because they don't have the core around him to really contend and go all in for a championship. I think Brooklyn ultimately waits 2-3 years when they're able to establish more of a young core, be able to, make the playoffs a year or two in a row, and then you just need that one superstar to go ahead and win you a championship. And that could be a Donovan Mitchell, it could be a Giannis, it could be a Joker. That's the way I'm kind of looking at this situation here. Benny B, I'm hoping Jordy can bring the Yegor and Nolan pick and roll to life. There was some flashes on the first game between those two that makes me excited for the future. Just not even counting that from their skill sets overall, not even counting the first summer league game, their skill sets overall that they bring to the table. They're very different players. Nolan is a guy who's going to beat you with his speed, who's able to shoot for you consistently. Yegor, is kind of, the playmaker, was able to, get assists, dish out the ball, help facilitate the offense. They're two very different styles of play. So I think Nolan comes off the bench this year, but I think Yegor is the starting point guard for Brooklyn this season. Where were we? Let's see. Lucis, says, I was looking at the chat when Bob was on because we had limited time and I had a bunch of points that I wanted to get into, but he said, ask him if the Nets made a mistake signing the other two is so early on. I think they did. You guys know that. I'll just give my insight. I think they did, because Tosan Iwoma, as we saw, and per my prediction, was an unmitigated disaster on Thursday. I don't think he's an NBA caliber player. Heck, I don't think he can average 15 points in the G League. So Iwoma certainly a mistake. And Etienne, didn't really make much of an impact in Brooklyn. I'd rather see a guy like Keon Johnson potentially land that spot if there's not enough room for him on the roster. So that's the way I look at it. I personally view it as a mistake. Lucis Connor, just want to say, love the amount and variety of guests you've had. Great host, bright future. Lou, that means a lot. Appreciate your kind words. Appreciate your support again. If you guys want to see want any guest on this show, have any advice, throw it in the comment section of a video. I see all your comments. Throw it in the chat of a video. I'll see that as well. Again, I want to see, I want to bring guests here that contribute to the conversation, that bring a ton of insight. Bob Windrem being one of them. We've had a bunch of great guests coming up, and we have a bunch of fun guests coming up in the future as well. Kind of run down the list here on my calendar of who we have joining us next week and the week after. The ones locked in for next week are we got two fun ones. Scoop Robinson, from Scoop B Radio, longtime NBA insider, and then Keith McPherson. Scoop's on the 16th, McPherson's on the 17th. And then the week after, one of the bigger guests that we've had on, Fred Katz of The Athletic, will be joining us 2 weeks from now. Well, Saturday, so kind of like a week and a half from now. So stay tuned for that. We got some super fun guests coming up. So make sure to like the video and hit subscribe so you know when these fun guests do actually join us here on the show. Clash says, are there any free agents out there the Nets could still possibly sign? They have the cap space. They're under the salary floor still. So could they sign another free agent? Sure. Would it make sense? Absolutely not. This Nets roster is pretty much filled to the brim, and I think it would take away minutes from the young guys that we want to come in and see develop. So it wouldn't make sense to add another veteran free agent on this roster, because the Nets already have a handful of veterans as well. I think Jordy's pretty much set on this roster, and I think this is what he's going to roll into the season with. Lucis, aren't the Nets also hard capped at the second apron because they took money back in a trade? Does that affect them being able to sign and trade? No. So this is what happened. I corrected this here for the fan base. Let me try to find this tweet. Keith Smith of Spot Rack, who does a great job covering the Nets, pointed out that the Nets are below the Nets will be hard capped to the second apron. That was the key detail that was left out. The Nets, for example, still have so much money to spend before they even have to worry about that. This will not even come into play for Brooklyn this season. as I put here, Nets fans, do not worry about this. Brooklyn will not have to worry about reaching the second apron. They're over $92 million under the second apron. So the Nets still have $92 million to spend, which obviously I doubt. I don't even know if they'd spend $20 million of that before the season starts until they're hard capped. So that was kind of a little bit of a confusing line there that was thrown out. The Nets still have nine. Their Nets, that will not come into play. That's the bottom line. The Nets will not have to worry about that. They can sign and trade. They can do what they want. Being hard capped at the second apron will not come into play because they're still $92 million under that landmark. Let's see. Jonathan, even though Lakers re-signed Jackson Hayes to be a backup center to Ayton, the Lakers still have Maxi Kleber, Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect to flip and get Claxton. Could that still happen? I don't get the logic behind it. Why would that make sense for Los Angeles? They have their two centers right now. Why would they want to give up assets? And probably a first-round pick would have to be thrown in there to get Claxton. I don't think it would make sense for LA. Down under Dunkers is trying to get a player on either current or past. Then also Mellis, we ever have a player guest host? That's so. I've spoken to a few agents for players. I did this stuff. For those who don't know, I also host the Jets podcast, NY Flight Jets Talk. So shimmy sub NY Flight Jets Talk on YouTube. That's podcast I've done for over a year and a half. That's where we've had super, super fun guests. I know a lot of you in here watch the Jets pod as well. You could tell the Nets fans out there. We've had some fun guests. We've had Adam Schefter from ESPN. We've had Mike Greenberg from ESPN. We've had Jeremy Fowler. We have a ton of fun guests on that show. So the players are tough. Especially in NBA, because it's a super, super, super long, grueling season. And it's 82 games, so players are locked in all 82 games of the year. It's definitely tough, but I will definitely try for you guys. I will definitely try. And a lot of agents do not reply, especially this time of year, but I will certainly send some emails out when I do get a chance to current players. I mean, the former ones are tougher because they don't really have much contact info that's public out on the internet. We could try, like, Richard Jefferson could be one that would be interesting. I know he does a lot of media stuff, so RJ could be fun, and we'll definitely look forward to that. Appreciate the intel there. Down under Dunker, what would you do right now if you were Mark's trade or sign wise? What I would do if I were Mark's, I'd sign Cam Thomas to a 2-year. What I would do is I think he's going to get a 1-year deal. I would sign him to a 2-year, $35 million contract. And then I'd roll into the season with what I have. I wouldn't really move anything right now. I think everything's pretty much aligned to open the season. The Nets pretty much have their roster set. I don't think it would make sense for the Nets to make too many roster moves. So that's what I'd personally do if I was Sean Marks. I wouldn't tinker too much with the way the roster is constructed, because I think it's constructed in a nice way for the route the Nets want to go down. So that's what I'd personally do if I was Sean Marks. I don't think there are any significant moves that are going to be made that are coming up here in Brooklyn. And by the way, we just hit 350 subscribers. I just caught that. So shout out to all you guys. Appreciate you getting us to 350 subs. Keep smashing the like button. Keep hitting subscribe. It's completely free, completely free. And it helps us grow significantly here on this show. So please keep hitting the like, keep hitting subscribe. It's completely free. It doesn't cost anything. Just keep doing it. Helps grow significantly. I want to get your thoughts on this. This is an aspect that I have. I was kind of just, getting some advice on what you guys want to see on the podcast, because we haven't really done this yet since I've started the channel. I want to get your thoughts. This is what I do on my Jet show. On my Jet show, we do something called call-ins. I throw the StreamYard. I use StreamYard as the platform I used to do the show. I throw the StreamYard link in the chat. Then we get you guys up on the screen, those who want to call in, share your thoughts. They're typically 3-5 minutes long. And, Josh and I respond to those questions. Would you guys want to do call-ins on this show? Would you guys be open to doing some call-in shows? We're doing pre- and post-game shows this year, so that could certainly be an aspect that's worked into those shows. Would you guys want to see call-ins on the show? Would you guys call into the show? Want to get your thoughts there, if you guys would kind of like adding that element of the Brooklyn Boys show. Lou says, I need to see Connor talk to RJ, Ian Eagle, and Sarah Kustak. Certainly interesting, because RJ I met at a game in the Qatar Airways Club last year. I met RJ, who's a super nice guy. Ian Eagle, I've said a few words to briefly at a game. He was cool. I'm gonna try. Next time I meet Ian Eagle, I'm gonna shoot my shot on trying to get him on the Brooklyn Boys show, and I think it's gonna work, because I know people who know Ian Eagle and have spoken to Ian Eagle, and Ian Eagle's a great guy. So Ian Eagle, I'm hoping, is someone we can get on. And Sarah Kustak, Sarah is one of one. Sarah's incredible. I've met Sarah probably 5-6 times now, 3 of which came out of game. Sarah's great. We could definitely try to get Sarah on as well. So anyway, the Yes Network crew, would certainly be fun to, integrate into the Brooklyn Boys show. So yeah, there are a lot of fun guests that I'm working on behind the scenes too. Like we have some cool guests that I'm working on. The ones that are locked in though for the next 2 weeks: Scoop Robinson, Keith McPherson, and Fred Katz from The Athletic. So those are the fun ones that are coming up in the next week or two. So that's all I got for the programming news, the pod news. You guys are the ones who make this show happen. So appreciate all of your support as always. And again, one more quick word from our sponsors before we wrap up today's show. Links in the description down below. Make sure to go and follow our sponsors. Shoreline Sports Cards, completely free. Follow their whatnot. Follow their Instagram. Links in the description. If you're in the Long Island area, Port Washington area, be sure to stop by their store. So please, 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 everyone, go over and support Shoreline Sports Cards. Shoot them a follow. Not Instagram, links in the description. It significantly, helps this. If supporting Shoreline, supporting us, supporting Shoreline. So be sure to go over and do that. Link in the video description down below. Appreciate all of your support as always. Make sure to support Shoreline. They do such incredible things in the trading card and collecting industry. So shoot them a follow and whatnot. And Instagram, again, links in the description down below. Appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much for tuning in right here today on the Brooklyn Boys Show. Back tomorrow, post-game coverage for the Nets and Wizards Summer League games, so certainly stay tuned for that. Smash that like button, hit subscribe. Appreciate all of your support as always. I'm your host, Connor Long, right here on the show. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And as always, go Nets.